Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, the 30th of September, and we are coming to, the end of the month. So, pretty much what we wanted to see all the way from last week in terms of waiting for a new month to start to give us new monthly continuity or new monthly range. And so that is what we have. So going into tomorrow, we'll be starting October. And of course, I think we should have NFP on Friday, normally the first Friday of every first week of every month. So going back to yesterday, I'm just going to zoom out to the half an hour chart just to show you where we are. And essentially yesterday, I'm just going to take in fact, no, I'll keep them on. I might just show you this chart instead. Going back from yesterday and just zooming out from basically last week as well, where we came down to. So I spoke about on all week last week, I spoke about the monthly ATR being at that 25K, call it. And on the monthly, we do still have magnitude up to 2592s, which I'll just see where our range is for the day. 25 basically back up into the monthly ATR. So we may get that 25,090 push, which is why I've still got that dotted or that dashed line on there. What that is the 100% average in terms of it's actually 110% now. So that's why that's on there. So the 100% would obviously be where the monthly green dotted line is. And that variance of that 10% is what takes you to that 25,090. So we do still have room up into that level, and maybe we get that today. Again, you do have range up into that. So if I just show you on the 5-minute time frame, let's just bring that level, plot that on the main screen. So you can see the ETH, again, I don't know where the RTH is going to open. We've got about 15 minutes, but the ETH is pretty much at the moment sat at around 25,023. So not that far away. We would only need like an extra 10-15% and we could obviously get that level. And obviously we are in long sequences, which is what I was trying to break down at the start of this video here. So if you zoom out to the half an hour time frame, I am pretty much using the anchors from last Friday's session. It actually took Thursday and Friday session for these to form. They finally traded on Friday, and we had that 50 to 50 yesterday. We never came down to the full halfway back. We came down to the 50 to 50, and that is where we have stuck so far. Now, if we go down to so many alerts, go away. If we go down to the smaller time frame, you can see, looking at those sort of micro composites in terms of smaller time frames, you can see that's the high time frame 50, and then inside that we have what would be the halfway back once, traded it once, twice, 3 times. Inside that, traded it again from the 50 to 50, or from the anchor low, which is the original halfway back 50 here. And we completed the 23 with ATR reversal up because we traded 3 ATR bars down. And we went all the way from the 62 all the way to the negative 62. So that was, if anyone took the scalp on the overnight session, that was pretty much about a 50 to 55 point trade there. So not too bad. Didn't take it myself. I was coding in the background, but it was what I wanted to see. So I don't mind that I didn't take it, just because it gives me confirmation, which is valuable anyway in and of itself. Going into today, what I'm going to be paying attention to is, I'm just going to take these draws off for a second. And I am noticing, or I have noticed and aware of, that we traded the 50 to 50 on the overnight session. So the fact that's traded doesn't always mean it's necessary for that to trade again on the RTH session. So what I will be doing just off the open is drawing this 50 to 50. I say 50 to 50, this is pretty much the anchor. Normally when I refer to a 50 to 50, actually would be drawing from the actual 50, as opposed to a full traditional. This would be a full traditional. So what I will be doing at this area here is pretty much just looking to see, do we find support at 24,800? And if you did draw a 50 to 50, that pretty much lines up with about 810. So you can put your value zone box, whatever you want to call it, 810s to 800s. Do we get a bid off the open at that area? And if we do we start to obviously grind higher and take out all of these highs from what was left on yesterday? Now, going back to yesterday, let's not forget that this was a short or a bearish day that we traded the short side. We did have 4 ATR bars off the open, 1, 2, 3, 4. We printed an ATR bar reversal down, which was the warning sign, which is why I got out of my longs pretty much down here. And I went short, I flipped short. And the reason for that is we had the ATR reversal down, 2 ATRs up, but they didn't print a new high, which is telling me we're pretty weak. And at that point, we then traded a halfway back. It appears to 61, but since this is a 5-minute time frame, you aren't going to be able to get away with 4 points of risk. So it is going to trade the 62. That's very likely. It went all the way to its completions, and then T1 taken out, same Ancanulo traded, and of course you can follow this down if you have the masterclass in terms of the rules on here. So we have, as you can see, completed the 23 of that draw, and that's pretty much what has set up the potential reversal back up into yesterday's range. So I will be keeping an eye on it. If I just put the main screen on so I can see where the value lines are, that is pretty much going to line up with, make sure that is on this screen. That is going to line up with what would be pretty much the overnight midpoint. So there isn't lots of value there for me. If we were going to get the deeper retracement, I would much prefer 720s to 728s, which would be a full probably a full traditional of last week if we go back thereabouts. But yeah, firstly I'll be looking at 800s. If we can't hold that, we may get a break of yesterday's low and then do an under over, which would mean you come under and then you get back over and start to grind back up. Ideally we don't get that, but I don't really care if we do or we don't. I'll take both trades. 800s for a push into 900s, and then eventually monthly ATR ETH high of day 25,023. So we've got 200 points of room there from the 800s. If the 800s fails and we do get under yesterday's low, ideally, if that does happen, ideally we trade what would be the RTH. The RTH, I will take it from 10 a.m. on Thursday the 25th. Ideally, we trade the 710s. That's probably all I would look for. I know it's a 100-point variance, but I think if you don't trade the 710s and you break the overnight low, there might be a trade to be had if you get back above 800s. But I don't really want to stay in. I don't really want to be chopping around that level. I'd rather 800 hits and it takes us to 25,000, or 800s fails and we finally get that full halfway back from last Thursday, and then we look for longs in that area. In terms of shorts, I don't think, I mean, technically you are still bearish on the daily actually, which is interesting. You are actually still bearish on the daily, so maybe we do flip short. Maybe we do flip short. Let me just check where, if I was going to take shorts, where they would be and what levels I would be expecting to the downside. I'm just going to literally do play devil's advocate on myself. And I think if we were going to get, how long have we got? 38 minutes till, yeah, so till 10 o'clock. I think we could potentially come down to, 750s, pretty much 770s to 750s, which is going to be my area of caution. I wouldn't take a trade based on that for the time being. Tricky one. Let me just check the 8-hour chart. Yeah, I mean, gun to my head, I think there's range definitely down to that 710s. If we could grind down to that level, where it trades today or maybe Wednesday, tomorrow, a new month, back up into highs, is yet to be seen. But I like the structure to the long side. I just don't like the daily bias on the BX being red. So I'm just trying to play counter trend. I mean, there's one or two things. You follow the shorts from yesterday, which we can obviously see where they were from, and we can follow those down and see where they are. And it's pretty much where we've stuck so far at that 50. So the most aggressive low to low, or not even the most aggressive, the first low to low draw has had a reaction so far at that 50. I think if you break the 62, which would obviously be 866s, continuation to the upside remains, and there's 200 points from that level to the upside. So I don't think it's necessarily missing the long, because you could get a micro extension that trades, for example, that 62, and then you look for what would be a same anchor new high, and maybe we come back down. So I don't think I'm going to miss a long trade. And then in terms of the short side, if I do want to take some shorts, I think we crack yesterday's low. And once that happens, maybe we take a low to low short. I think crack yesterday's low, crack or tag the trend line of 722s. And I think if you struggle at here, we go lower. And of course, we've got 590s, which from the trend line is still 130 points. So even if I get 60% of that, that's still going to be a decent move, 60 to 80 points. So yeah, keep it fairly simple. If we're at or below previous day lows, try to trade the downside as much as possible, unless indicators are telling us otherwise. We do have green diamonds, so it's a bit conflicting at the moment. I probably favor the long side, but BX is red, so I am aware of momentum is not exactly there. Although, as I mentioned yesterday, I know this is obviously bullish divergence to some degree, but very cautious of this. On the 8-hour chart I was looking earlier, I don't actually think we're going to get much range today. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but just from an ATR point of view, range on the 8-hour chart, I don't think we've got that much. From the highs, you're talking like 40 to 50 points. I think you actually favor the downside more than anything in terms of range, just from a risk to reward point of view. But I don't necessarily think I'll take it based just on that. But range is favoring the downside in terms of you've got way more points to the downside. But again, that doesn't always mean you take a trade based off that. But I'm just a little bit skeptical to the long side because there isn't much left from where we are. So 80 to 90 points, which is just the average. So it's not exactly on the daily. Obviously, we come back up to monthly ATRs, but on the 8-hour, which is what's going to take us into the end of this day, it's not looking like we've got that much range to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on things. But again, going into the session open, I will just look for, see how we react at yesterday's low. I think 710s trades, and if it does, I will just watch how we trade around there, and keep an eye on both sides of the market today, just like I did yesterday. I took a long yesterday, saw it wasn't working, flipped short, and obviously ended the day 2.8 on the day. So similar things could happen today. Always have both biases in your mind, and that sounds quite counterintuitive, but both sides are equally have the equal opportunity in certain environments. So sometimes we have more edge to one side, but sometimes it's literally a 50-50. So you just have to ask yourself if you actually want to trade those environments or not. So we've got 5 minutes to the open. I will jump over to Whoop. My bias is pretty much neutral. I don't think I have a stronger bias one way or the other. But once the open comes, I think we'll have a bit of a better direction after the first half an hour or so. Like yesterday was pretty aggressive of the open, but you had no continuation, and that was just a clear trend break. And obviously it was just sales all day. So I think it's going to be one of those days where we just check the first half an hour, see where we are. Is there momentum one side or not? And if not, trade the opposite direction. So I will jump on Whoop, and everyone on YouTube, I will be back on tomorrow. If you aren't a member, click the link below and you can join the Whoop. Peace out.